want to come because you're jealous.
Jealous? Of what?
Do you ever feel forgotten? The Warriors of Kyoshi hides more than a battle. It holds a question that can change everything, if we're brave enough to ask it. The story starts innocently. Aang, Katara, and Sokka soar through the endless skies, chasing the distant promise of the North Pole. But when they land on Kyoshi Island, a hidden village by the sea, the true journey begins, not across the map, but across the fragile bonds between friends. At first, it feels like nothing more than a playful detour. Aang spots the elephant koi leaping from the waves, and in a burst of boyish pride, he charges toward the water to impress Katara. He laughs, he shivers, he rides the koi with giddy triumph. But when he turns to catch her reaction, Katara isn't even watching. Have you ever been there? Tried to show someone you love just how much you wanted them to see you, only to realize they were looking somewhere else? It stings. Not because they meant to hurt you, but because the need to be seen is stitched so deeply into who we are. Aang isn't just showing off, he's reaching for connection. And Katara, without meaning to, misses the moment. And sometimes, that's how distance begins. Not with betrayal, but with a missed heartbeat. A single small ache that grows quietly into loneliness. But they aren't the only ones facing invisible battles. In his own way, Sokka is about to be tested too. Not by loneliness, though. Soon after, the Kyoshi warriors ambush the trio, displaying fierce strength and discipline. Sokka, clinging to old ideas about masculinity, mocks them, only to be swiftly and humiliatingly defeated. Sokka's struggle is about pride, about redefining strength not as dominance, but as humility. And isn't that a battle so many of us face? The belief that being strong means being louder, tougher, always in control, until life humbles us. Until we're forced to realize that true strength often looks like listening, learning, and letting go of old armor. Meanwhile, Aang reveals he is the Avatar, and the villagers erupt with awe. The boy who once feared his destiny now basks in it, marbles spinning, crowds cheering. At first, it's harmless, but slowly, something dangerous begins to seep in. Aang starts confusing admiration with belonging. There's a rush that's easy to lose yourself in, when new faces celebrate you, lift you high, and make you feel unstoppable. And somewhere along the way, without even realizing it, you lose sight of the ones who loved you first, the ones who never needed the noise. He soaks in the fame, forgetting the quiet loyalty of the ones who knew him before the applause. And standing on the sidelines is Katara. She watches as Aang is mobbed by fangirls, called Angi, lifted high on waves of affection that have nothing to do with who he truly is. Katara folds her arms, narrows her eyes, not out of jealousy, but out of grief. Grief that the boy she believed in could be so easily swept away. Because it's not just about being left out. It's about realizing that someone you trusted might choose the roar of the crowd over the sound of your voice. And you know, Katara isn't upset because she wants attention. She's hurt because she trusted Aang to remember her, to see her, even when others crowded around. There's a quiet kind of heartbreak, watching someone you love chase after something new, wondering if they even notice you're no longer standing beside them. Real love isn't tested by loneliness, it's tested by temptation. Will we remember the quiet bonds when louder voices call our names? But temptation has a way of leading us further than we ever meant to go, until the moment comes when we finally see what we've lost. Later, Aang tries to ride the legendary Unagi, seeking once again to impress. The fangirls, bored, drift away. The crowd is fickle, and at last, Aang feels the emptiness he had been running from. When the thrill of attention fades, and you're left alone in the quiet, wondering if any of it ever really mattered. When you realize that applause can't keep you afloat, not when the waters get deep and dark and real. When he flails in the water, helpless against the monster he thought he could conquer, it isn't the fangirls who rush to his side. It's Katara, sprinting into the freezing surf, pulling his unconscious body back to shore. She doesn't need applause to act. She doesn't need a crowd to love him. She remembers who he is, even when he forgets. And isn't that what we all need? Not someone who loves us when we're shining, but someone who wades into the cold, chaotic waters when we can't save ourselves. The people who truly love us aren't the ones who cheer the loudest. They're the ones who carry us when we fall silent. Meanwhile, Sokka, humbled by defeat, returns to the Kyoshi warriors. He bows his head. He apologizes. He asks to learn. There's a weight heavier than any weapon, the weight of swallowing your own pride. It feels like stepping onto thin ice, unsure if it will hold. But sometimes, it's the only way forward. And yet, in doing so, he reclaims something far more powerful than pride, respect. Because real strength isn't found in the battles we win over others. It's found in the battles we fight within ourselves. To be better, to be braver, to grow. True strength is not dominance over others. It's the willingness to grow. And sometimes, the greatest victory comes when we lay our weapons down. But no sooner do we grow stronger than the world asks us to prove it. But growth is always tested by fire. When Zuko's ship appears on the horizon, bringing destruction, the island's quiet joy shatters. The village burns. The statue of Avatar Kyoshi, a monument to courage and peace, blackens with smoke. Aang stands in the wreckage, shoulders bowed. "Look what I brought to this place," he whispers. There's a kind of heartbreak that comes not from being hurt, but from knowing you were the one who caused the hurt. That awful, sinking feeling when you see the damage and realize your own hands lit the match. It's the raw, terrible moment when we realize our mistakes don't just hurt us, they hurt the people who believed in us. Katara finds him there, lost in guilt, and with a voice steady from practice, from loving someone even when it's hard. She says the hardest thing: we have to go. Not to run from shame, but to protect the innocent. Because sometimes, the bravest love is the one that knows when to walk away, before the fire consumes everything it meant to protect. And sometimes, loyalty means leaving behind the places where we are loved, to shield them from the consequences of our own unfinished journey. As they escape on Appa, Aang looks back at the burning village. The cheering crowds are gone. The fame has turned to ashes. And something beautiful happens. Aang leaps from Appa into the ocean. Not to show off, not to win admiration, but to make amends. He tames the Unagi. He summons a flood to extinguish the fires. And for once, he acts not for applause, but for healing. Real growth happens when no one's keeping score. When you choose to do the right thing, not for glory, not for recognition, but simply because your heart knows you must. That's the kind of quiet, invisible courage that truly changes the world. The applause fades. The real work of love and growth begins when no one is watching. But healing is only the beginning. The harder part is remembering. The Warriors of Kyoshi is not just a story about warrior girls, or fish monsters, or childish mistakes. It's a mirror for all of us. It asks, who are the people you forget when the world starts cheering your name? Who stays by your side when the crowds go home? And are you brave enough to stay loyal to them and to yourself, even when the river tries to pull you away? Because in the end, loyalty isn't forged in victory. It's forged in the quiet moments, when no one is looking. When love means reaching through the silence, through the storms, and saying, I still see you. And maybe that's the hardest lesson of all. To remember the ones who stood there, patient and unseen, while we chased after brighter lights. To recognize that being forgotten wounds deeper than any battle scar. And to understand that real love, like Katara's, waits not for applause, but for remembrance. True connection isn't proven when we are admired by many. It's proven when we choose, again and again, to see the ones who never stopped seeing us. Because sometimes, the most important thing we can ever say to someone we love is simply, I never stopped looking for you. If you felt seen in this story, come walk this road with us. Like, subscribe, and let's keep exploring together.